Hi, everybody. We are back now. I hope all of you had a great networking break. And I hope all of you explored our expo session by video hire. Guys, I guess this is time that I take you to the next part of the day. And I take immense honor and pleasure in introducing our keynote speaker of the day, Lieutenant General Dr. Rajesh Pant, National Cybersecurity Coordinator. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here. On behalf of Quest, I would like to welcome you once again. Thank you so much for joining us on board. We are absolutely delighted to have you here among us, and we are looking forward to some great insights from you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Namrata, and good morning, everyone. Thanks to Quest and CNBC TV 18 for giving me this honor on this virtual summit on cybersecurity and Privacy Excellence 2020. The theme you have selected is very optimistic. Let me say you're already talking of post-COVID challenges and opportunities. Whereas my focus at the moment is presently on how to battle the current situation. And that is where our focus should be. So the first challenge that people are already discussing is how to deal with the term called radical uncertainty, which is what we faced when suddenly COVID came upon us. And radical uncertainty is defined by two characteristics. One is that you have no control over the events. Like the pandemic, we did not know how it spread, where it spread, and we still are not too sure about it. So first is lack of control, and the second is lack of information. So if you do not have information about the pandemic, then you cannot predict, you cannot plan. So these two aspects define an extreme form of uncertainty, which is, as I said, being discussed as radical uncertainty. So the first challenge is, how do you deal with a condition if it arises in the future? And the answer is exactly how the government of India has acted. And since I represent the government, I must elaborate on this for a few minutes, that to deal with radical uncertainty, you literally catch the bull by both its horns. And the two horns, as I said earlier, are control and information. So if there is no control, you assume control. And that is exactly what we did as a nation when the Prime Minister gave with such clarity his instructions on the lockdown 1, 2, 3, 4, unlock 1 and 2. And then we invoked the National Disaster Management Act of 2005, and we created those 11 groups, and the interaction that we did between the center and the states, and the response that we got from the public and the private sector. So the government assumed control over the situation. That was the first way to deal with this uncertainty. And I think we've done an excellent job, and my fingers are crossed that we maintain the lowest, one of the lowest mortality rates in the world as we are maintaining now. And the second aspect, of course, as I said, was if you don't have information, you create information. And how did we do that? We utilized an app called Arogya Setu. We took advantage of the existing infrastructure that we had created for Digital India in terms of our payment national public platforms, in terms of our health platforms, etc., and then created that information, the app tracing, etc. So this is how to tackle the uncertainty aspect is concerned, and that is, I must say, it was a whole of a nation approach, and all kudos to the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Electronics and IT, and of course the Department of Telecommunications. These four I am listing as the major ones for the control and the information part. Otherwise, every department of the government and the private sector and the public sector, everyone has done an excellent job. So this is the first challenge, and this is how we've overcome it as of today. As far as the cybersecurity aspect is concerned, the challenges of cybersecurity are being discussed, I think, in all forums. I do about 2 to 3 of these webinars a day, and everywhere I find there is a great awareness now as to how the work from home and the teleworking, as it is called, that environment has affected cybersecurity, how the traditional cybersecurity was behind a perimeter, which was the enterprise perimeter, and we had a firewall, we had the ITS, IPS, anti-APT, etc., and everyone very comfortably ensconced inside that perimeter. But the work from home has now extended the perimeter to the homes. In fact, they are saying now the requirement is of perimeter-less cyber security. So a lot of new products have already come out. You find a lot of monitoring being done. You find behavior analytics being utilized to a great extent. That is the person, even if he's sitting at home, doing what he's supposed to do, is he accessing those applications that he's expected to access. So the WFH environment created a lot of cybersecurity issues in the first few months, not only from the device point of view, the endpoint as to what is the device that he's using, what are the softwares already installed in that device, what is the antivirus in that device, how is he accessing the home router, what are the other devices connected to that home router, and then how is the building management system catering for it, and the ISP extending the internet to him, and then right up to the enterprise, whether you were on VPN or whether you were on cloud. So that entire architecture had to be monitored, and a lot of solutions have already come out. You can Google and find some good solutions have come out, and that was the opportunity that immediately arose. So along with this, in the last few months, we've also been speaking a lot about the increase in cybercrime, which, as you know, there was a perfect storm. There was insecurity. People were looking for advisories, how to deal with this pandemic. And this is where the cyber fraudsters, they are just waiting for opportunities like this. And they move in and create these fake portals, whether it is for financial aspects and whether it is for getting you to click on a link and then stealing your identity and then carrying out with their financial crimes. So the crime aspect also had to be dealt with. And again, the National Informatics Center, as far as the government of India was concerned, has done an excellent job, as well as the other CERT-in that we have, the Computer Emergency Response Team, and for the critical information infrastructure, we have NCIPC. All our government agencies have done an excellent job. In MHA, as I said, there is an organization called I4C that we have recently created it last year, the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center. So that has also now started registering and responding to the cybercrime part. So that was the next challenge as to how do you deal with the work from home, how do you deal with these VCs that you and I are today seeing on each other. Initially, if you recall, there was terms being used like Zoom bombing, etc. A lot of advisories were issued. And then we understood as to how to conduct a good video conference online, that you have a waiting room, you allow person one by one, you have a password policy. So all of us have gone through a learning experience. And then the financial transactions, suddenly, in the month of March itself, there were 50 lakh persons in the country that applied for a UPI handle, because when they found that hard money transactions were not there, the only option was to go for the virtual business transactions. So a lot of these payments took place. And again, the moment the virtual payments take place, the cyber criminals move in and start making those phishing calls and taking away the money. You're aware, even the Prime Minister's CARES Fund site, the duplicates came out. And sometimes when I see these duplicate sites, I find that the way they are designed, they're better than the original ones, if I may jocularly say so. But these cyber criminals are getting smarter and smarter. You heard of the Twitter attack that took place last week. It is again a great case study that on 15th of July, these cyber criminals, they create a web portal called Crypto for Health. And it's a beautifully designed web portal where they say that suddenly we have become very magnanimous and we want to donate 5,000 crypto coins. But to do that, first you give, let's say you give equivalent of 100 rupees to a particular address. And if you give 100, then we'll give you 200. We'll double your money. So the starting point is that you give. And just to reinforce their point, on the next day, they hacked into these famous personalities of Obama and Bezos, etc. And in their Twitter sites also, they posted the same message that we are all for crypto for health and it's a very good scheme and we endorse it and all. So about 378 exact is the number of people that fell for this. and $120,000 cash was sent to that other fraud website, which was immediately changed, and then they disappeared. So in 24 hours, they made about 90 lakh rupees. This is how these criminals are getting smarter and smarter. The other day we were examining a malware which comes as a very benign malware. None of the systems can detect it, but once it is inside, after 5 minutes, it suddenly emerges and becomes a malignant malware. So it's something like a hidden time bomb sort of thing, a timed sort of a malware. So every day, those zero-day attacks, etc., they are coming out. Not only at the cyber criminal level. Now we are hearing a lot of nation-state-backed cyber cases. Recently, there was this case between Israel and Iran, and whatever I'm saying is I've read it in the public domain. That in Israel there was an incident where suddenly in the water treatment plant they found that the level of chlorine had increased, and it was becoming poisonous. So because it was an automated system, this is how the critical information, the infrastructure gets affected. And then a few days later, we found that in a nuclear facility in Israel, at a place called Natanz, where some years back there was a very famous Stuxnet attack, at the same place a fire took place very mysteriously. So, the scale of cyber attacks, as I said, from an individual getting conned to a nation state, where a cross-domain attacks are taking place, these things are happening as we speak, and the issue is getting more and more serious. So finally, I just want to leave you all with 3 hard truths that we just cannot wish away. The first one is that whatever you do, the vulnerabilities in a system will continue to exist because it is coded by software, because there are supply chain issues. So the first one is that vulnerabilities will continue to exist. And the second is that if vulnerabilities continue, then the attacks will continue to take place. And the third point is that the attribution of these attacks will be as difficult as it is today, because these cyber criminals are far ahead of you and me. They know how to take 4 or 5 hops, and they go inside the dark web and come out, and how to hide their tracks and traces at the entire kill chain of the cyber attack. So this is the hard truth. So what is the solution? The solution is twofold. One, of course, is in times of COVID, we have to focus on good personal hygiene. That is most important. And personal hygiene is what you hear on television and what you hear from all the different media sources every day. Wash your hands, wear a mask, do social distancing, etc. So that is priority number 1. And priority number 2 is cyber hygiene, because now this the social distancing and the virtual world that we have created in the new normal is going to make us more and more dependent on these devices in the cyber world. So cyber hygiene is the priority 2 hygiene to be adopted, and that implies keeping your software updated, ensuring antivirus is there, good social engineering skills. That means just don't blindly tick mark, I agree, etc. Read everything. If you're using a torch, why should that torch know where your location is? I'm just giving a crude example. And what I find is in a mobile phone itself, once we did a study, and it's not only the apps, we found that there were 15 different attack vectors in a mobile phone, starting from the operating system, starting from its communication system, the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi, and including the bundled apps, as they are called. There are some pre-installed apps that you cannot do anything about when you buy a mobile phone, and then the apps that you download from the Play Store and the App Store. And some of them, they send messages to various IP addresses in different countries, and send your photographs and contact lists, etc. So be very, very careful about the conditions that you agree on. So I was talking about good cyber hygiene, as I said, software, social engineering skill, and then a good password policy. Keep changing your password, especially in financial transactions. And please, please, please don't fall for that clickbait, that even if you find an email from a trusted source, if you find it odd, don't take a chance, because these people can come through that trusted source of yours. That is what social engineering is all about. So these are my final 2 thoughts: good personal hygiene and good cyber hygiene. And on that, there are a lot of new opportunities coming up, because the title is Challenges and Opportunities. And the new opportunities, I can tell you, are going to be on the indigenous domain. As days roll out, you'll find that this nation will lay more and more stress on indigenization, and in cybersecurity, the field is totally open. So all the people who are listening to this, you just get down to it and start creating the solutions across, right from the endpoint detection and response up to the high-end enterprise-wide solutions. The entire field is open. So stress on indigenization is my last point. And on that, I wish to again thank Quest and CNBC TV 18 for giving me this honor. As you're aware, we are in the office and it's a very busy day for all of us. But still, since my job is to spread cybersecurity awareness and keep the nation in touch with what is happening, I thought I must address this gathering. So thank you very much. God bless you and stay safe. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pant, for such a wonderful session, for sharing such useful insights and absolutely your words of wisdom. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here.
Thank you. Stay safe.
You too. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to take this opportunity to direct all of you towards our next panel discussion for the day. For the same, I would request all of you to kindly click on the sessions tab, which is given to the right, to the left of your screen. So yes, we will be having our second panel discussion, which will be on emerging practices in managing cybersecurity and privacy in post-COVID era. So I am leaving from here and I will be there in the sessions tab along with the panelist and the moderator.